Are You Being Served? 1972 to 1985 is not just a classic British sitcom, but also a cherished memory for comedy lovers. With its unique humor, iconic characters, and outstanding cast, the show left a lasting impression on audiences for over a decade. However, behind the bright lights and the laughter, the real lives of many cast members were filled with unexpected tragedies. Some stars battled severe illnesses, faced tragic accidents, and even met untimely deaths. The joyful moments on screen stood in stark contrast to the personal struggles and heartbreaking realities they endured. In this emotional look back, we uncover the tragic fates that befell the beloved actors who brought so much joy to millions of viewers. Behind the scenes, hidden from the public eye, were stories of pain, loss, and hardships that paint a vastly different picture from the lighthearted world of Are You Being Served? Molly Sugden, born Isabel Mary Sugden on July 21, 1922, in Keighley, West Yorkshire, was a force of nature on British television, her presence as formidable as the characters she played. As Mrs. Betty Slocum, the ever-flamboyant head of the ladies' department at Grace Brothers, she commanded every scene with her sharp wit, eccentric hair colors, and the infamous, double entendre-laden references to her cat, Tittles. Her comedic timing was impeccable, but beneath the humor lay the depth of an actress who had honed her craft in repertory theater after graduating from the Guildhall School of Music and Drama. Beyond Are You Being Served? Sugden was a television staple, starring in The Liverbirds as Nerys Hughes' snobbish mother and making memorable appearances in Coronation Street as the gossipy Nellie Harvey. Her private life, in contrast to her on-screen persona, was one of quiet devotion. She married fellow actor William Moore in 1958, and their union remained strong until his passing in 2000. The couple had twin sons, Robin and Simon, born in 1963. As she aged, health struggles began to take their toll, and after suffering a debilitating heart attack in 2009, her condition rapidly declined. She passed away on July 1, 2009, at the age of 86, succumbing to heart failure. The world lost one of its finest comedic actresses, a woman whose humor and presence could light up even the dullest of days. Arthur English, born on May 9, 1919, in Aldershot, Hampshire, was the down-to-earth, wisecracking maintenance man Mr. Beverly Harmon, the ever-present handyman of Grace Brothers. With his Cockney accent and cheerful, no-nonsense attitude, English brought a working-class sensibility to Are You Being Served?, often mocking the pompous attitudes of the store's management while helping the sales staff out of various predicaments. Before his sitcom fame, English was a staple of the British music hall tradition, honing his craft as a stand-up comedian and variety performer. He made a name for himself in the 1950s with his rapid-fire delivery and razor-sharp wit, appearing in numerous stage and television productions. His career extended beyond comedy, with roles in The Avengers, Z-Cars, and the children's series Johnny Briggs, where he played the lovable grandpa. Despite his success on screen, his personal life was marked by heartbreak. He married his childhood sweetheart, Ivy Ruth Martin, in 1941, and the couple remained together for decades until her untimely death in 1975. Her passing left English devastated, and although he later entered into a long-term relationship with actress Teresa Kempinska, the loss of his wife cast a shadow over his later years. His health declined in the 1990s, and he eventually suffered complications from emphysema. On April 16, 1995, at the age of 75, he passed away, his once boisterous voice silenced. Though he was laid to rest, his legacy as one of Britain's finest comic performers endures, his performances still bringing laughter to those who remember the golden age of British comedy. Arthur Brough, born Frederick Arthur Baker on February 26, 1905, in Petersfield, Hampshire, was the dignified yet perpetually flustered Mr. Ernest Granger, the aging senior salesman of the men's department at Grace Brothers. With his short temper, constant napping, and endearing befuddlement, Brough's portrayal of the old-fashioned shop assistant made him a fan favorite. But his acting career stretched far beyond sitcoms. He was a classically trained performer who dedicated much of his life to the theater. Before stepping onto the television stage, he was a Shakespearean actor and even ran his own repertory company, the Arthur Brough Players, for decades. His deep love for the theater was matched only by his devotion to his wife, actress Elizabeth Addyman, with whom he shared a lifelong passion for the arts. His world came crashing down in 1977 when Elizabeth passed away suddenly. Groff was left inconsolable, his grief overwhelming. Just weeks after her death, he withdrew from public life, abandoning his career entirely. His heart simply wasn't in it anymore. That same year, on May 28, 1978, he passed away at the age of 73. Many who knew him believe that he died of a broken heart, unable to bear the loneliness after losing his beloved wife. His departure from Are You Being Served was never properly addressed on screen, but his absence was deeply felt by both fans and cast members alike. Though he faded from the spotlight, his performance as Mr. Granger remains an enduring part of British television history, a fitting tribute to a man who lived and breathed the stage. John Inman, born Frederick John Inman on June 28, 1935, in Preston, Lancashire, was a man who made laughter his life's mission, despite the challenges that came with it. His portrayal of Mr. Wilberforce Claiborne Humphreys, the outrageously camp and quick-witted sales assistant in Are You Being Served, made him an icon of British comedy, but also the subject of intense scrutiny. At a time when homosexuality was still largely taboo in British society, Inman's character, complete with exaggerated mannerisms, innuendos, and a distinctive catchphrase, "I'm free," was both beloved and controversial. Yet, he played the role without apology, embracing the humor and never allowing the criticism to dim his shine. Before his television fame, Inman spent years in theater, learning the ropes in seaside variety shows and provincial productions. He even worked as a window dresser in his youth, an experience that no doubt informed his impeccable sense of showmanship. Though the public speculated endlessly about his private life, he remained discreet for much of his career. It wasn't until 2005 that he entered into a civil partnership with his longtime partner, Ron Lynch, cementing a relationship that had spanned over 3 decades. His later years were marked by illness. In 2004, he was diagnosed with hepatitis A condition that severely weakened him and forced him into retirement. His health deteriorated rapidly, and on March 8, 2007, he passed away at the age of 71 due to complications from the illness. His loss was deeply felt by fans and fellow actors alike. His unique brand of humor, his flamboyant charm, and his unshakable spirit left a lasting imprint on British television history. Alfie Bass, born Abraham Basilinsky on April 10, 1916, in Bethnal Green, London, was a man who understood struggle from an early age. Growing up in the poverty-stricken East End, he worked various jobs before finding his calling in acting, a career that would span 5 decades. His portrayal of Mr. Goldberg, the streetwise and sharp-tongued salesman who briefly worked at Grace Brothers, added a fresh dynamic to Are You Being Served? Though he only appeared in 8 episodes in 1979, his character brought an element of Jewish humor and old-school business savvy to the series, making an impression despite his short tenure. Bass was no stranger to the screen, having built a career in British cinema and television long before setting foot in Grace Brothers. He starred in films such as The Lavender Hill Mob, 1951, and Alfie, 1966, often playing working-class characters who embodied resilience and wit. His television career was equally illustrious, including his beloved role in Bootsy and Snudge, where he played the ever-suffering boot boy. Yet despite his professional success, his personal life was marked by hardship. A quiet and private man, he endured heartbreak in his romantic life, struggling with loneliness in his later years. His health deteriorated in the 1980s, and on July 15, 1987, he passed away at the age of 71 due to a heart attack. His death went largely unnoticed in the press, a quiet end to a man who had once filled Britain's screens with laughter and warmth. James Hayter, born on April 23, 1907, in Lonavala, British India, was a commanding presence with his rich, rolling voice and distinguished appearance. As Mr. Percival Tebbs, the affable yet elderly men's department salesman, he stepped into Are You Being Served? In 1978, following the departure of Arthur Brought's Mr. Granger. Though he only lasted 6 episodes before being written out, his experience in British cinema and television gave the role a gravitas that set him apart from the rest of the cast. Hader was best known for his portrayal of Friar Tuck in the story of Robin Hood and His Merry Men, 1952, and its sequel Robin Hood and the Sword of Sherwood Forest, 1960. His deep, resonant voice made him a sought-after narrator, most famously lending it to the early Winnie the Pooh animations. But behind his career successes lay a life tinged with sorrow. He was married twice, with his first marriage ending in bitterness and estrangement from his children. Though he remarried and found some stability, his later years were marked by declining health. In his final decade, he struggled with dementia, his once powerful voice fading as his memory deteriorated. On March 27, 1983, he passed away at the age of 75 from complications related to the illness. The world lost a man who had once been a cornerstone of British cinema, his voice echoing long after his passing in the stories he once brought to life. Frank Thornton, born on January 15, 1921, was the distinguished and ever-authoritative Captain Stephen Peacock, the self-important floorwalker at Grace Brothers. With his upright posture, clipped speech, and haughty demeanor, Thornton played the character as a man who believed himself far above his station, despite his frequent humiliation at the hands of both staff and management. His comedic timing was impeccable, honed over a long career that spanned radio, television, and film. Before Are You Being Served?, he had already built a solid reputation with roles in British comedies such as Hancock's Half Hour and Steptoe and Son. After his success as Captain Peacock, he continued to find work, most notably as Herbert Truly Truelove in Last of the Summer Wine, a role he held for over a decade. Despite his professional success, Thornton's personal life was far less dramatic. He married actress Beryl Evans in 1945, and their union endured for nearly 70 years, a rarity in the entertainment industry. However, his career often kept him away from home, leading to long separations from his family. He was known as a deeply private man, reluctant to discuss personal matters. In his later years, he withdrew from public life, quietly slipping into obscurity as age took its toll. On March 16, 2013, at the age of 92, he passed away peacefully in his sleep at his home in London. Though he lived a long life, his death marked the end of an era, with the echoes of his performances still bringing joy to audiences long after his passing. Wendy Richard, born on July 20, 1943, was the feisty, flirtatious, and fashion-conscious Miss Shirley Brahms, the junior sales assistant whose working-class Cockney accent and youthful irreverence made her a perfect foil to the pretentiousness of her superiors. She was one of the most beloved characters on Are You Being Served?, her glamorous yet down-to-earth presence providing a relatable touch amidst the show's eccentric ensemble. But her career extended far beyond Grace Brothers. Richard became a British television icon, immortalized for her 22-year tenure as Pauline Fowler on EastEnders, where she portrayed a woman weighed down by the struggles of working-class life. The role was vastly different from Miss Brahms, darker, more tragic, and filled with despair, mirroring many aspects of Richard's own turbulent personal life. Behind the scenes, Wendy Richards' love life was far from the comedic romances of her on-screen characters. She endured a series of troubled relationships and 3 failed marriages. Her first marriage, to music publisher Len Black, was short-lived, and her second, to advertising executive Will Thorpe, ended in a bitter divorce. Her third husband, Paul Glorney, also brought heartbreak. It was only in 2008, after years of disillusionment with love, that she found true happiness with her fourth husband, John Burns, whom she married just months before her death. Richard's life was further marred by health struggles. She was first diagnosed with breast cancer in the mid-1990s, but overcame it, only for the disease to return aggressively in 2008. Despite undergoing treatment, the cancer spread, and she bravely accepted her fate with characteristic resilience. On February 26, 2009, at the age of 65, she passed away in Harley Street Clinic, London, with her beloved husband by her side. Her funeral was attended by many from the entertainment world, a testament to the deep impact she had on British television. Even in death, Wendy Richard remains an enduring figure in the hearts of fans, her performances a legacy of both laughter and poignant drama. Nicholas Smith, born on March 5, 1934, in Banstead, Surrey, England, was best known for his portrayal of the bumbling, pompous, and perpetually flustered Mr. Cuthbert Rumbold, the manager of the men's and ladies' departments at Grace Brothers. With his distinctive bald head, bushy eyebrows, and awkward demeanor, Smith brought to life a character who often found himself the unwitting target of his employees' sarcasm. His role in Are You Being Served? Made him a household name, yet he remained a character actor at heart, taking on various roles in series like Doctor Who, Z-Cars, and The Avengers. A man of the stage as well as the screen, he spent much of his career performing in theater productions, his deep, resonant voice making him particularly suited to dramatic roles. Though successful in his career, Smith's personal life remained largely private. He married Mary Wall in 1959, and they had one daughter, Catherine, who followed in his footsteps as an actress and opera singer. In his later years, he withdrew from the public eye, spending time with his family and making only occasional television appearances. Tragedy struck in 2015 when he suffered a fall at his home, leading to severe head injuries. Despite medical intervention, his condition worsened, and on December 6, 2015, he passed away at the age of 81. His death marked the loss of the last surviving main cast member of Are You Being Served?, closing the chapter on an era of British sitcom history. Trevor Bannister, born on August 14, 1934, in Doington, Wiltshire, England, was the wisecracking, cheeky, and effortlessly charming Mr. Dick Lucas, the young and ambitious junior salesman at Grace Brothers. His quick wit and flirtatious nature made him a favorite among fans of Are You Being Served? And his banter with Mrs. Slocum and Miss Brahms was legendary. Bannister's comedic talents extended far beyond the sitcom. He had an extensive theater background and appeared in classic British television series such as The Saint, The Tomorrow People, and Keeping Up Appearances. After leaving Are You Being Served? In 1979, he continued working steadily, later finding a new generation of fans through his role as Toby Mulberry Smith in Last of the Summer Wine. But behind the laughter, Bannister faced personal struggles. His first marriage to actress Kathleen Cravos ended in divorce, and though he later found stability with his second wife, Pamela Carson, there were difficult years in between. The pressures of life in the public eye, combined with the uncertainty of an acting career, often weighed heavily on him. Despite these challenges, he remained dedicated to his craft, performing in theater productions well into his later years. On April 14, 2011, tragedy struck when he suffered a sudden heart attack while working in his garden. He died at the age of 76, a shocking loss to the British entertainment world. His sudden passing was a stark contrast to the liveliness of the characters he portrayed, a reminder of how fleeting life can be. How do you feel about the passing of the actors from Are You Being Served? And who do you miss the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our latest videos.